From Drake, the guy who acts tough but really has a poet's heart, to 50 Cent bragging about having a lot of money when he could barely make ends meet. These are the rappers who have faked their lifestyle. Drake has acted like different people during his career, going from a nice guy to a tougher image. But his latest album, For All the Dogs, has made some fans upset. In one part, Drake raps, "I should probably be in there with Thug and Nim, talking about being in jail like a criminal." This got people talking, asking why Drake, who grew up in a middle-class family in Canada, acted in a TV series when he was young, and started as a pop singer, is trying to act tough now. In hip-hop, it's common for artists to pretend to be rougher than they really are. But for Drake, who had it easier growing up compared to other rappers with tougher lives, it's hard to believe he's rapping about a tough life. Although, who knows? Maybe he's a criminal in the shadows. Drake might be a romantic pretending to be a gangster, but Soulja Boy is just a big talker. Despite boasting about being a tough guy on social media, the truth is, Soulja Boy is far from the gang world. He often challenges other rappers to fights but never shows up. He claims to be part of the Blood Gang, but his membership has been completely discredited. Even rapper YG, a real gang member, has publicly called him out as a fake tough guy. While some artists deal with real gang stuff, Soulja Boy just acts like he's part of that life on Instagram. His tough guy act fell apart when people found out he posed with fake money, cars, and houses. As time goes on, it's clear that behind his online tough guy act, there's not much to him. He's just a virtual bully pretending to be something he's not. He talks about being in the Blood Gang, but he doesn't have the real experience to back up his words. While Soulja Boy keeps talking, let's check out young Tyga, who probably wishes he didn't do a certain TV show. Tyga has built his career by pretending to be something he's not, a tough street guy from the ghetto. But many people may not remember the beginnings of his career. A leaked video from 2008 completely exposes his facade. In a silly MTV show about rap stereotypes, Tyga admitted to having a privileged past, living in the green suburbs of the Valley. Nothing to do with the Compton streets he claims to come from. Even though he later said he lied on MTV and does come from Compton, he actually grew up in a middle-class residential neighborhood. He even went to a private school for a while. He has never been involved with urban gangs. His lyrics brag about realities he's very distant from. Tyga has made a name for himself by selling a street life that he doesn't live. Tyga might have tricked a bunch of people with his street act, but Meek Mill really goes all out with the pretending. Even though becoming famous and rich should let rappers be themselves, some still feel the need to show off. Meek Mill is a good example of how things get confusing when looking cool matters more than being real. Even though Meek has lots of money now, he still raps about guns, violence, and a street life he left behind. He lives in big fancy houses, but in his music he acts like he's still in the same tough life. It's a bit confusing because he doesn't really show the struggles of the kids in the neighborhoods he talks about anymore. But it seems like he can't let go of the character that made him famous. Some fans say he's not being honest, and others think he's stuck in a past that's not really his anymore. The truth is, behind all the money, Meek is a different person than the tough guy he pretends to be. While Meek isn't the only one sticking to selling an outdated image, let me tell you about your favorite 50 Cent. Even though he brags about being one of the richest rappers, Curtis James Jackson III was actually broken. But that didn't stop him from posting pictures on Instagram with piles of money that might look like thousands of dollars. Of course, he says it's all fake to avoid legal problems after having some issues with the law. And maybe he's not completely lying. Even though it's probably a trick to confuse judges, many artists pretend to have more money than they really do. Yeah, I'm sorry to tell you, but those fancy cars might be rented, and the money he shows off might just be upfront payments for making albums and going on tours. 50 Cent has been in the music game for a long time, making us imagine he has a millionaire lifestyle. But behind all that, there are the debts of a man who isn't as rich as he acts. Luckily, 50 Cent has bounced back a bit since then, but the next one always bragged beyond his actual means. Nas, to be fair, has never been too flashy, but he sure talks about fancy mansions and apartments in his songs. However, During his divorce from Kellis, it came out that his rich life wasn't exactly true. When it was revealed he owed $300,000 in child support, he complained it would ruin him. In the end, he admitted he didn't make the $150,000 his ex thought, but a bit less than half of that. Still not bad for a neighborhood rapper, right? The clear thing is, Nas doesn't have $500,000 to solve legal problems. It was all just showing off. He's another rapper who pretended to be richer than he really is. Even in his most famous song, he talked about buying apartments on different continents when he couldn't even afford a divorce. Yeah, the pretending game is strong, but here comes the real deal, because Tekashi 69 is really good at pretending. Even though he acts like he's the big leader of the 9 Trey Bloods gang, the truth is, he doesn't have any real street background. Before he became famous, Tekashi was just a kid kicked out of school in the Bronx, and he wasn't involved in gangs at all. But when he started making music, he totally changed how he looked. He dyed his hair in bright colors, got lots of tattoos, and completely changed his style. The trickiest part, though, was how he made up stories about being a tough criminal in his songs and videos. All of it was just to make people think he was streetwise, even though he wasn't. His connection with the 9 Trey gang seems like it was just for show. It helped him get famous and sell more albums by pretending to be something he's not. But when he got arrested in 2019, he didn't hesitate to snitch on his supposed brothers in court. Tekashi 69 is like the ultimate internet gangsta. He made up a fake identity to make it big in the music world, even though he doesn't really have any street cred or real experience in the criminal world. Now, if you thought things couldn't get worse, hold on because you'll want to hear who's next. A real top-notch faker. Rick Ross. His whole career is kind of like a lie. Unlike what he talks about in his music, he's never been the big shot on the streets he pretends to be. The funny thing is, he used to work as a corrections officer, keeping an eye on the real criminals he now says he's part of. And to make it worse, he even took the name of one of them. Yep, the actual Rick Ross did time in prison, while another guy who worked as a corrections officer stole his name. This Rick Ross, also known as Freeway, is a real drug dealer who was a big deal in the 80s, sort of like El Chapo. His whole image is like a big trick in the world of gangsta rap. And we're not even done yet. YBN Nahmir is kind of funny in this group. He didn't come from the streets. Instead, he made up his image while playing Xbox with his friends. This young guy spent a lot of time on Grand Theft Auto, where he started rapping just for fun. Even though he doesn't know about the criminal stuff he raps about, Nahmir made up a completely fake character. He became famous in the gaming community for his on-the-spot freestyles. What started as a game became his music career. But behind the tough image he shows, he's just someone who never really left his room. While other rappers talk about their real lives, he takes things to the extreme by rapping about made-up gangs. Even if the inspiration comes from Rockstar Games, he's definitely fooling his fans. Now, being real goes beyond money, fancy stuff, and pretending to be a tough guy. It's also about being honest with your own people, Gunna and YSL. This is where Gunna and the rest of YSL messed up big time. They talk a lot about being super loyal to their mentor, Young Thug, but their loyalty turns out to be just talk. What's funny is that Gunna used a fake gang connection to make himself look better, only to betray the mentor who helped him succeed. When things got tough, he cared more about saving himself than staying loyal. Instead of facing the situation with courage, he chose to betray his own crew. It's just another example of how gangsta rap has a bunch of fakers like him. He's another rapper who shows that what you see on the outside is not what you think. Now, it's clear that the rap game is sometimes free of BS, but who do you think is the fakest rapper in the industry? Share your opinion in the comments section below.